This article presents Voliva's theory of a flat world, and tells you how you can win his offer of $5,000 for proving that he is wrong.
The three commonest proofs that the Earth is a sphere were cited by Aristotle in ancient Greece. 1800 years before Columbus sold the world on the spherical theory, and they are still in use. The mass of the people did not really begin to believe that their world was a globe until the Earth had been circumnavigated. Actually, that was not as good a proof as any of the three cited by Aristotle. For it is possible to circumnavigate Voliva's flat world, traveling either east or west, and come back to the starting point. Aristotle's three proofs were: first, the disappearance of a ship as it sails over the horizon, the hull vanishing first, and the masts and rigging last, and the reappearance of an approaching ship in reverse order. Second, the curving shape of the Earth's shadow on the moon during an eclipse. Third, the changing aspect of the heavens in different latitudes, some stars disappearing and others appearing, as the polar star in the northern hemisphere and the southern cross south of the equator. There is not a scintilla of truth in any of them, Voliva retorts. And yet you will find them in every geography book. And every primary teacher repeats them like a parrot. I decline to be a parrot. A parrot is a man who never thinks for himself, but repeats what he hears without any questions as to why or wherefore. Zion maintains that the disappearance of a ship over a horizon, hull first, is an optical illusion of perspective. No different from the apparent merging of the railroad tracks in the distance. A man at the foot of a tree a couple of miles across a plain may be invisible, while the tree itself stands up against the sky and is visible for miles. Earth curvature of 8 inches to the mile is not sufficient to explain the invisibility of the man. As for Aristotle's second point, Voliva and his followers maintain there is no proof that the curving shadow of an eclipse is the shadow of the Earth, and maintain that there have been several eclipses within historical times, in which both sun and moon were visible at the same time, so that the eclipse could not have been due to the Earth's shadow. As for the third proof, the Zionites and other believers in the Zetetic astronomy of parallax maintain that the stars are set in a hemispherical dome, so low and close to the Earth that not all stars can be visible from any one point. Dr. Samuel B. Rawbottom, of England, who, under the name of parallax, provided the explanations for all natural phenomena to fit the flat world theory, died in 1884, but his followers have kept his work alive. The flat world theory is not confined to any country, sect or group. Within recent years, the Reverend John Mack, a Catholic priest, has written a book, The Earth is Not Round, which has had a wide sale. Another pamphlet, 100 Proofs That the Earth is Not a Globe, issued by William Carpenter in 1885. The year after Rawbottom's death, continues to appear in revised editions. A book by Alexander Gleason, issued in 1893, is a standard textbook among the Zetetic believers. Gleason also issued the map which is used in the parochial school at Zion, where the flat world theory is taught as fact, and the spherical world belief covered only as an incidental superstition. The Gleason map, a copy of J.S. Christopher's projection, shows the world as a disk, with the North Pole in the center, and the South Polar region spread as a wall of ice around the rim. The Northern Hemisphere is more nearly correct in this form than on the standard Mercator projection generally used in schools, for navigation and for other purposes. The Southern Hemisphere, however, is enormously distorted. Australia, for example, is drawn out as an enormously long and narrow island. Chester M. Shippey, director of research in Voliva's church cabinet, admits this is one of the weaknesses of the flat world theory, for the timetable of the Australian Transcontinental Railroad shows a mileage far less than the Christopher map would call for. Voliva maintains that there is no South Pole, and that it is 60,000 miles around the southern ice wall. Captain Gunnar Istsen, the Norwegian explorer, last winter circumnavigated the Antarctic continent in a voyage of about 14,000 miles. Zion says Istsen may have circumnavigated something, possibly an island of that size, but did not go around the Antarctic ice rim, and points to the 60,000-mile journey of Ross in 1848 and the following 2 years, when he circumnavigated the ice rim. Of course, Ross was in a sailing ship which tacked back and forth for 3 years on a journey Istsen completed in a few weeks, which could explain the discrepancy in the distance traveled.